Recording.
Okay, we're back, and we're at the Sena River here for a Sunday evening chat. I'm going to try to get this out yet today on Sunday. If not, it'll be sometime at night. But I was over here riding. I'm going to try to make another run at this. But there's a heck of a snag in the middle of this river. Now, here we are at the end of July, or the better part of the back half of July. Well, last month in June, we had some pretty serious rains in this area. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back this way. The old Nanaska, as we call it, is a... Oh, there's a deer leg. Oh my gosh. It's a river where a lot of our local runoff here in Kansas, south central Kansas, and it ends up contributing to and meeting up with the Arkansas River. Oh, there was a good picture, or a good view of this. Good grief, I'm terribly unorganized. I do have a few things that I do want to talk about on our chat, but I wanted to try to show this snag, because this snag is just a whole damn tree. Yeah, here it is. And you can see it partially. Well, I could see it because of my vantage point. Either way. And again, I'm not using my microphone. Yeah, I do have my microphone, I just don't have it I'm not using it right now, so I'm using the camera and blah blah blah. But I want to show this snag real quick. For whatever reason, I'm infatuated with it. And then we're going to talk about stuff that I want to talk about. It's kind of important as my bike starts to warm up anyway. Oh man. And on my last trail ride, I must have damaged my camera mount. Okay. So over there's the snag, and it's just a whole damn tree. It's a whole tree in the middle of the river, and who knows how long it's going to be there. Snag, there it is. Okay? So one thing I want to tell you, it's a little story time. A little story time from something that's happened over the course of, I'll just say the last year and a half-ish. A couple years. I guess it'd be approaching a couple years. 2 years. And what that is my friend, I think I might have told about it on this channel, I might not have, approached me about doing some work on this bike that he's intending to give to his dad. And this bike he's intended to give his dad is one that he had while my friend was growing up, or a child even. His dad had regretted selling this XV 920. It's, just a Yamaha V-twin, and they came in a couple different configurations, I think. One of them was a shaft driven, and another one was a chain driven, but it's an enclosed chain packed in lithium grease. Pretty cool. Whoa, there's some more snags. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Anyway, back to the story. And I said, sure, what all are you thinking it needs to be done? He said, well, it's got just a few things, I want you to look it over. And I said, I want to tell you, I'm not a specialist in these older bikes, but I'll do what I can. He said, if nothing else, you can just do these tires and maybe just a couple little things. I am intended to get it painted. And the main thing is I need to hide it somewhere so my dad doesn't see this bike while it happens. And I said, well, I told him, I said, I do a tire every once in a while for your dad, so I'm going to have to be a little bit deceptive with him. Because he did mention something about doing some tires over time, and I said, it should be a problem, I'll hide it from him. Well, to try to be the Cliff's Notes of this is, I ended up doing a clutch pack replacement on it. And we ended up upgrading the brakes. The brakes on it were absolutely terrible, and they're notorious for being terrible. But we put an upgrade master cylinder and both calipers and brake lines. Oh crap, it's gonna get sandy on me. And we ended up doing that. I think we ended up putting some Galfer brake lines, nothing wrong with those. And those had a different kind of, that particular model had a union on the triple where the brake lines met up and it was some sort of apparatus. Well, we bypassed that. And long story short with that, we ended up upgrading the brakes. I ended up putting a set of tires on it, adjusting the brakes, doing the clutch pack, and I noticed that there was something funky going on with the intake on it. I think it had like a cracked intake boot. I ended up finding one, and it wasn't an OEM one, and this guy that ended up doing the work, I think his name is Steve's DIY, and you'll see, if you're really interested into it, if you look on Steve's DIY channel, he'll show the different work that he chose to share on this bike, including the reveal to it. I'm not going to link it. If you want to do it, if you want to look at it, Steve's DIY. Alright. Because Steve ended up doing this bike because I ended up finding that, and I put some cheaper aftermarket intakes on them, and I made them work. There was some silly vacuum system on it. I'm not going to get into it, but I ended up finding an oil leak at the head, and this is a multi, this is more than one piston, more than one cylinder engine, and you guys know I specialize in these and then the Yamahas, WRs, YZs. And it's hard to imagine just all the engines that I've done since I've taught myself how to do it on my own stuff. But getting to that engine and being able to do that type of work, you got to remove the engine. And this is such a heavy engine, and it's a major component of the frame. It's just not something that I felt comfortable learning on. So I said, this is an annoying leak, but I'm sure it's starting to affect how well this bike is running. So through the process of him getting the parts, the tank, the side panels, the fenders, this, that, the other, all of it painted, I ended up reassembling it and continuing to diagnose it. And I found a few other things I'm not going to mention. But I told my friend, I said, look man, you need to get a pro or somebody that's more certified to work on these things than I am. And he said, I'm going to need some time to look up, find somebody. And I said, sure man, go ahead and do that. I'm not saying, get this thing out of my garage, but I ended up having possession of this bike for over a year, long story short with that. And, by the time we got it all painted up and this and that, and I ended up doing what I could for it. Well, that's where we get to. We skip forward to now, because Steve got all the work done on it, including painting it and looking at the thing. I think he did some painting on the frame, and I think even the wheels, amongst other things. The man did some fantastic work, and my friend took his dad on a road trip And on that road trip, he ended up unveiling the bike to him and being a nice surprise. So everything was good. Now his dad is my optometrist, and let's kind of sidestep here. I wasn't going to accept any type of payment for doing the work in which I did, because his dad, my friend's dad, is also my friend and mentor. And he just, I don't want to get too personal about it, but he helped me through some different things that I was going through, which was pretty darn special. Okay, starting to get dark out here. We're going to wrap up this story just as soon as we possibly can. We might even see some deer. We're also going to see some corn, obviously. Corn, C-O-R-N. Not that other word. Okay. And so I wasn't going to accept any payment, and he said, look, we're gonna get back with you and we'll get it squared away. And I said, man, we're square if he's happy. All right. Well, by the time my optometrist, also my friend, his dad, found out I had a hand in it and saw what all that I did, which wasn't a lot, but I helped keeping the secret and storing thing. Oh, we got somebody walking along the hedgerow over there. Not trying to be in people's business. He said, look, I want to do some different things for you. I want to provide you like some contact lenses and, or something. And I said, and I want to do an eye exam for you. And I said, man, I didn't do any work to get anything for it other than, helping you out and doing something to pay you for the mentorship that you've given me. And he said, listen, I'm offering this. And I said, and I also told him, I said, I've been holding off on getting some glasses or some replacement lenses for my glasses because, I've thought about getting some Flying Eyes glasses, who was a sponsor and supporter of my really good friend Jake the Garden Snake, and he had a whole falling out with them, and his video is going to come out soon. His video, oh, there's a deer. Oh dear. Guys, you're supposed to tell me when you see those. But I was holding out on getting one of those for making sure that I got a prescription, an up-to-date prescription. But I said, I'm not going to do that because basically they screwed Jake on not paying him, and they had a contract and they took a dump on his contract. And I was like, I just want to get some, now that I don't want to get those glasses because I don't want to deal with people that are going to deal shady ways like that with people, especially when they have the wherewithal to be able to handle their business. I said I just wanted to get a replacement set of lenses for the glasses that I'm wearing right now, because that brand, I was telling him that brand was not a good brand, and he said, well, I'll keep that in mind. I'm not going to recommend them to anybody, not that I have. Typically, what I recommend you do is wear your helmet or bring your helmet with you when you go to the eye doctor to get a new set of glasses and try on different glasses, the frames that they have in stock, to determine what ones are going to work well and which ones are not going to work well with your helmet. And he said, well, after I knew about that, you were holding out on it, and I had actually gotten too close to a fire that I was burning a bunch of material of branches and stuff that had fell at my mom's house. and I just got too close to it. The wind kind of whipped around, and it actually destroyed one of the coatings on my glasses, and it made them not usable. And you know, I went to my backup set of glasses, which were really small lenses. So I ended up was using those, and they're just where my prescription had changed a little bit over time. But he said, you know, after hearing about that, and knowing all the work that you did, and apparently he was pretty happy with what all I'd done. And he said, you know, I'm going to do more than that. I'm going to get a set of trial pair of contacts for you, and I'm going to get a set of reading glasses for you, and I'm going to replace those lenses for you, and it's going to be all on me. There's no arguing about it. That's what I'm going to do. So you need to find a set of lenses or frames for your reading glasses. I have a pretty bad stigmatism. That being said, reading glasses in my prescription would only be good for reading, you know, in areas of about as far as my hand can reach. There's, oh, a deal, another deal. There's a rakin, aka raccoon. So he said he's going to do that, and I found a set of frames, and they're a plastic frame instead of the wire frames like what I'm wearing right now. And I didn't have to worry about them fitting under my helmet because, again, they're just for reading. So I did something for my friend and mentor, and also for my friend who was trying to do something for his dad at the same time. And I didn't expect, I didn't want any type of payment. But when, you know, people that are old school, they insist, there goes an armadillo, when they insist on you accepting something when they offer it, you accept it. And I did, and I'm glad I didn't try to order supplying eyes glasses because it's a piece of shit company. I'm sure they make good products, but when they lie to people and they renege on contracts, then they deserve bad publicity. So there will be a video coming out where he explains that, and it might be a week or two or whatever, but I'm glad I waited. Crap. I'm glad I waited and didn't order those because I don't want to represent or even if they reached out to me and said, oh, we're going to give you some money because we want you to have these glasses, I think I just have to say no thanks. No. I'd rather represent, you know, anybody other than them. I'd rather say this video was sponsored by my optometrist, my eye doctor, Scott Landis at Landis Optometry, and he's a cool dude. He got all of his, you know, he's older. He's in his 70s now, but he still works. I think 3 days a week now, and he rides all the time his Concourse 14, his Kawasaki Concourse. The thing's, he's put a bunch of miles on it, and I've replaced a lot of tires for him. I helped him out with his brake pads and his brake rotors. We were getting kind of glazed, so I put a surface on them for him, and I repacked his bearings, his wheel bearings, with some grease. That helped them out quite a little bit. We'll probably replace him at some point. But he's a cool guy, and so he's been nothing but a good mentor and friend to me. And I have my mother going to his practice. I'm thankful for, you know, good people good men who lead in the way in which he does. Yeah, I think I did say in the military he got his certification as an optometrist. So, you know, he served our country and he takes good care of people. You know, he's a church-going man, a Christian, and he sets a good example for anybody that's around him. So, and I'm not going to get too specific about it, but we agree on politics very well. But anyway, it's getting dark on me. Me and the old E-model DRZ, and this one has wide ratio gears, like also a Scott, but Link's garage bike that I built his engine for him. Wide ratio gears in it, but this is in its dirt trim with 1350 final drive gearing, but I can still go, I think, about 80 miles an hour or so, but I can cruise. I'm going 45 right now, and I'm just kind of lugging it in fifth a little bit, but it's just like at the bottom of the RPMs that I'd want to go. It's a great bike, and you know, it's more intended for, I've intended a little bit more for the trails, and I ride it in my secret place. And I'm running the Trailtech Voyager, and I'm running off of GPS, because all they have, you can't see it over here to the side, but all it's got is just an analog mile counter. That's all it's got over here on the side, and you can kind of use it as a trip meter. It has the same cam gear as an S model that works as a wheel spacer for your factory speedometer, but it just has no factory speedometer on here. So real quick, I wanted to show you, I'm going 57, just all but 60 here, and I'm going at a pretty comfortable RPMs. You can probably do this all day at this RPM. Alright, so I got corn on the side over here, so nobody can see me coming, so I'm going to slow down, downshift into the fourth, downshift into third. Now what I will say about the wide ratio gears is they do have a little bit of a whir sound in third. You might have picked that up. So here we are, we're going 60. Let's do a little pull. So there's 83, probably closer to 85. There's a little bit of a lag in the speedometer because we're working off of GPS. If I go 85, I could probably wring its neck out a little bit more, but why would I do that? There's no real reason to do that. I am running a tall seat on this that my friend Derek had that he didn't like, and I don't like it that much, but it's better than the stock seat that had the poorly done cover done on it that came with this bike. Here pretty soon I'm going to get a Seat Concepts tall seat for this bike from Rivet, who is kind of a guy, a real friend to Jake the Garden Snake's channel as well. You'll have seen him on some of the meetups, and he brought the house. Rivet brings the house to the kart track and to the different events. So he brings his RV, and he's in the videography part of, or not videography, he does some of that, but he does some of the radio stuff on some of the radio tests that they've done on his channel. So make sure and check those out. And so I'll get that seat from him hopefully the next kart track day, hopefully that will be here sooner than later. So, I'm looking forward to that. Because right now my gooch is kind of beat up from this seat. Because it's really rigid. It does have that, instead of like a flat top on it, it kind of peaks, and it's just an overall regular gripper seat, kind of a gripping seat that has like a grippy fabric on it, and it's just, my prostate ain't happy. Let's just put it that way. But other than that, that's kind of what's going on with this bike. We replaced the clutch on this, the outer hub, the outer clutch, and on this over the winter time. The other one was the springs were just shot. So we've got that on this. I may end up doing an actual clutch pack on this, and I'll just go back to OEM. OEM is a perfect clutch pack for the DRZ, or even with a stroker build on it. So take that for what it's worth. And yes, I do have this. This is a street legal bike. I have my South Dakota title and tag for it. So I do have a tag on it. And I'm running the D606 rear tire. And I'm not sure what the front one is. It's probably time to replace it at some point. But anyway, it's getting too dark. I'm going to continue to enjoy my ride, make my way on home. So if you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so. And I want to say thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.